My name is Tony Espinosa. I have the distinct honor of moderating the session with some of my colleagues here. We would like for them to introduce themselves. If you don't have questions, then I can probably ask them some hard questions. We've worked together for a long time. So with that, I believe that ladies should always be first. So we'll give Alice O'Neill the starting bell.
I'm Alice O'Neill. I'm the Director of Small Business at Patrick Air Force Base. It is my job to make sure small businesses have the maximum opportunity possible with all acquisitions at Patrick, well, at the Space Wing that include Patrick and Cape Canaveral. Lou?
Okay. Hi, I'm Luis Chavez. I am the Small Business Specialist for the Air Force Technical Application Center. And just like Alice's, I am the advocate for all of you, and I am always looking to help small businesses to get an opportunity to get a contract at AFTAC. So if you do have any questions for me later on, please raise your hand, and I will try to answer your questions. And if you want to talk to me on a one-to-one basis, please also see me. Larry?
I'm Larry Third, the Small Business Specialist at Kennedy Space Center. Like these two, my job is to serve as the primary advocate for small business at the center. We also have a table out here outside. With me today, we have Joyce McDowell. Joyce, you want to raise your hand? Damien, are you in here or are you outside? Damien is out there as well. We do have a lot of good literature out there for you. If you ask a question, I don't have an answer right now, we can answer it when we get out to the table, okay?
Man, that was quick. The panel before lunch, we went the whole thing. Anybody have any questions for these folks? Now, let me say something first, okay? How many of you here are currently in business? How many of you are doing business with the government? How many want the federal government? And how many want to? Okay, we should not go through this session with no one asking questions, because I'm going to tell you why. These folks right here are the ones that you need to start, one of the ones that you really need to start building relationships with. If you're not asking questions today, you really don't want to do business with the government. I shoot from the hip, I tell you the way it is. Okay, I work with small businesses every single day, and I get a lot of questions that these folks can also answer. We work together in partnership. So when you approach them and you're not ready, they're going to send you to me, okay? So please ask questions. If you don't, I'll try to fill in some of those questions that I think we need to have answered. So.
My question is there's a certain percentage of set-asides for veteran-owned business, women businesses, AA firms, and within your organizations, how are you doing meeting those percentages on the contracting side? Are you meeting them? Are you exceeding them? And is leadership making sure you're meeting those?
I can answer that. Yes, sir, we do have established as goals for each category. At AFTAC, for instance, our goal for veterans disabled is about 3%. Thus far, this year, our goal, our actual percentage was 0. Yes, we do have leadership looking for us, looking to see what we're doing, what is that is happening. The biggest problem that we have in my agency is the nature of the business that we do. And unfortunately, because of that, a lot of the veterans and small businesses get a little bit scared of the contracts that we do have. But that is changing. Within the last year or so, I've been going out and basically opening the doors for all of you to come to our building and to seek out for the opportunities that we do have to offer. It is my expectation that those numbers will change in 2 to 3 years from now. The small business, for instance, the small business goal for us, for my agency, for AFTAC, the Air Force has a goal of 25% as a whole, the DOD. And then each MASHCOM, Major Command, distribute their goals to all of us based on the nature of business that we do. Mine, for instance, was 10%. I am closing this year at about 4.5%, maybe 5% Last year, I closed the year at a 3%. So I had gained already 2%. Next year, I'm hoping to do a lot much better, and next year it's going to be better and better and better. So yes, we are working real hard because our leadership is looking at it. It's all coming all from the White House. President Obama created an executive position for the small business administrator. Help me.
Mills.
Ms. Mills is the executive, and she meets with President Obama on a weekly basis, and she has to brief him. And unfortunately for us in the Department of the Air Force, because that's what I can speak of, shamefully for us, we have been behind for the last 2 years in meeting our goals. And yes, we are getting a lot of heat and a lot of questioning as to why is that we're not meeting the goals. But with that said, a lot of you are responsible for that too. Because whenever I go out, may I take up a little bit of time here?
Take all the time you need.
Because when I go out and I talk to all of you, I also make a lot of emphasis in how important it is for you to help us to help you. How's that, Lou? Well, anytime that we have a requirement, we, at any contracting office, we are going to publish what is called a sources sought. What we're doing at that point is we're conducting market research, and we're asking contractors, small business contractors especially, to respond to us and give us a capability statement showing us what you can do and how you can do the work. Well, most of you do not answer to those advertisements that we publish. So what happens is that we end up having to put a lot of the acquisitions that we are planning to have as a set aside for a small business, we have to open it up for a full and open competition. Now you're dealing with the Northrop Grumman's and the big boys, and that it gets a little bit difficult. So it's not most of us, but you guys need to be able to be more proactive and be able to help us, again, to help you. Because in my position, if I have an acquisition and 2 small businesses come in, and my technical people have identified that 2 small businesses can do the job, any of us in here have the authority because we need to sign a document that is going to give the green light for that acquisition to follow on. If I don't sign a document and I said I want this to be set aside for small businesses, guess what? That is not going anywhere until I get some answers. But I need your help. If you don't help me, I cannot help you. I hope I answered your question.
As a follow-on to that, at Kennedy Space Center, our senior management takes small business seriously. Matter of fact, tomorrow, about the same time frame, I will be sitting up on the 4th floor with the center director briefing our small business program to all the other centers and to NASA headquarters. The center director themselves are required to brief the status. I can't speak for him, so he has to know the small business program. He has to speak for the small business program. As part of his performance element, he has a small business element in his performance plan, so they definitely have incentives to take small business seriously. As far as KSC and goals, for the last 7 or 8 years, KSC has met all their small business goals, with the exception of 2009. I had a small business that merged with a large company in August and novated, and I missed my small business goals that year by that much. If I had waited till September to novate, I'd have met my goals for that year. And that, so for every year since I've been there, except with the exception of 2009, we met all of our small business goals. Historically, 25 to 30% of our procurement dollars go directly into the pockets of small business. So we do take it seriously at KSC. I reiterate what Lou said as far as the sources sought goes. If you don't respond, we have no leverage to encourage the CEOs to go set aside. We have to go full and open. And like I said, you're competing with the big guys, and I think you'd rather know who you're competing against than to go out there in the big ocean and compete with all the sharks out there. Why not compete with the small fishes in the ponds instead of going out in the big ocean and compete with the sharks? So definitely respond to our sources sought.
At the Space Wing, this year we've been hit very hard. Our service-disabled veteran goal is 5.5. We don't have a goal for veteran. Our small business goal is 26%. We are not meeting any goal this year. We're about $200 million less than we have been in the past. This will be the first year that we do not meet our goals. You don't have the money, you don't meet goals. That's just the fact of life for this year. If money don't flow down next year, we'll probably be in the same position. So we are trying to put as many acquisitions aside for small dollars as we possibly can, but it's just a funding issue for us this year.
As a follow-on this year, I'm currently exceeding my small business goal, my small disadvantaged business goal. I'm close on my woman-owned and my hub-zone goals.
Shut up, Larry.
Service disabled, but we're not going to make it because my major contributor to my service disabled goals, we represented last year as a large business, and that's about $20 million a year towards my service disabled goals. I lost that, so service disabled, we probably won't make it this year, but we still got a chance to make the other 4. So.
Well, I can guarantee you we'll make them next year. We have some acquisitions that are coming out that you all need to respond to. Some of them are already doing market research, so please respond to them, and that will help us a lot. They are very big acquisitions. If you cannot prime with them, you can prime alone, then you should consider partnering, and that will help us meet our goals.
Make
Now,
sure
don't
you-
follow through with that, Larry.
Make sure you're looking at FedBizOps for the sources sought, fbo.gov. There's another website that you can go to. It's a private website, but they separate the sources sought, the proposals, or the solicitations, and other documents called FBO Daily, and I believe it's fbodaily.com. When you go into that website, you don't want to buy anything or subscribe to anything. On the right side, you'll see where you can browse and search. If you click browse, you'll see everything there, sources sought. So you should be checking that on a daily basis. You should be checking FBO. If you can on a daily basis. We understand that you're small businesses and, selling to the government can be a full-time job for one person. But if you want to do business with the government and you want these opportunities, you have to take a look at those things. Another question out here?
Okay, let me follow up on that first. As far as the sources sought goes, you can take a look at FedBizOps. NASA has their own internet portal that we use in conjunction with FedBizOps. It's called the NASA Acquisition Internet Service. You can go to this site. You can register your company based on the NAICS codes you operate under. The system is set up that when we post a notice that fits that criteria, the system will send you an email with a link back to that notice, so it does your internet searching for you. It's a good
How much
feature.
does it cost to register?
Excuse me?
How much does it cost to register?
0.
Free, F-R-E-E.
There's something else that you guys need to know. There are a lot of agencies up there or organizations, that allegedly help the small businesses, and they charge you fees and things like that, when really and truly you don't have to pay no one for the services that those agencies provide to you. PTAC and all of us are available to you for free. And if we cannot help you, we always will find something or an agency that we can direct you to or give you a website or anything that can help you to obtain the information that you need for free. I have none of contractors that are trying to register, for instance, in what used to be is the CCR, which is called SAM now. And there is a website up there, I've been told, that is also the company's name, SAM. And when you go in and you try to register, they charge you in excess of $1,000 to put you in the system. And I'm asking the guy, what are you talking about? They're charging you $1,000. Yeah, they're charging me $1,000. So I said, no, the service is free. So I sent the website, the correct website to him, the link, and he wrote me back thanking me. But you have to be real careful because there are a lot of people up there trying to profit because they know that you are up there looking and seeking out for help, and some things you don't know, and they take advantage of that. So please be careful.
Yeah, the site you want to go to is sam.gov. Don't go to any other site.
You have some questions back here, sir?
Hey, can I ask a question about, you talked a lot about source of SOC responses and small businesses responding to those sources of SOC or those market surveys. What we've seen in the past is, we see a source of SOC come out, and true enough, as a small business, we do want to respond because we know that'll move it to a possible small business opportunity, especially if it's coming from full and open. But one of the issues, one of the challenges that we run into is that sometimes the government comes out with 25, 30-page source of SOC responses that are somewhat driven by the technical community or the contracts community from the agency itself. And so what we would ask as a small business, we don't have the resources to put together 25, 30-page source of SOC responses and then to wait 6 to 9 months for the government to make a decision on which way the acquisition strategy is going to go. So if that's something that the small business office can take a look at, as far as just saying, hey, what's necessary for us to make a market determination versus having us, put together 25, 30 pages, put it over the fence to the agency. It's just difficult to pull together those type of proposal response resources in order to address a source of SOC response. If it's, 5, 10 pages should be adequate from our perspective to gauge whether or not a company, a small business, can potentially facilitate those type of efforts or those type of services. So,
If I may, you have a good point there. A lot of times, the sources sought that I see in most of our responses, we require a maximum of 10 pages, I believe. If there is a larger response, it's because obviously the solicitation is going to be very complicated. There's going to be very different types of job labor categories and different things that are included in the package or the requirement. One thing that I would recommend for you to do is before you write a response to a sources sought, try to contact the contracting officer and see if the contracting officer could fix a meeting for you with the technical team. And that way you could talk to the technical team and bring some of the concerns that you may have and say, hey, I can summarize my reply to this in 10, 15 pages. You're asking a maximum of 25, but I'm not going to give you 25. And then you can talk to them face to face and see how that goes. Again, the complexity of the requirement is going to dictate a whole lot of what's going on. We're talking about millions of dollars, and we're talking about mission requirements. And although we want the small business to have a piece of the pie, our main concern still is the mission and the security of our nation. So we want to ensure that a contractor that is going to get a contract is indeed capable and responsible enough to be able to do the job. So with that said, it is important, very important, that you respond and read the requirements of the sources sought and answer all those questions that we are asking in a very professional manner so the technical team can actually assess that your company is indeed capable to do the work. That is what we're looking for. And again, we are trying to, and I especially, I'm there for you guys, trying to get the small businesses. But the mission comes first. And we need to make sure that whomever is gonna come to my building, remember I said my numbers are real low? I'm trying to build a program at AFTAC. Could you imagine if I bring in a small business contractor that is going to default in the middle of the contract? How it's going to affect all the rest of you? I cannot afford that. Definitely cannot afford that. Anybody that is gonna come into AFTAC, that is gonna get a contract, being a small business, that company is gonna be very responsible and is gonna be vetted like you have no idea. But that is how I build my program. And I'm sorry, but that's the way it is.
Let me add to that a little bit. Just like in responses to solicitations, a lot of that is up to that amount of pages. If you can tell your story in less than that, tell your story in less than that. You don't have to do 20, 30 pages. I have never seen anything that says you got to respond in 30 pages. And again, just to reiterate, it all depends on the complexity of that requirement. If you can't respond to that source of sort, and it's a very complex requirement, then you probably shouldn't be responding to it. And maybe you should be looking for a partner that may have the resources to look at it, be able to respond to it, and maybe team up or somehow work as a subcontractor with them.
I'd like to add to it. If you have a source of salt and you feel that the source of salt is unreasonable, please call me and ask me to look at the source of salt. I will read the source of salt, and if I feel the source of salt is asking for unreasonable information that's not based on the performance work statement or the statement of work, I will get with contracting and the technical team and have a talk with them. But if I feel the information that they are requesting is reasonable in their vetting process, then you must answer the source of salt in accordance to the information that they are requesting. And as Tony said, if you can answer the source of salt in a limited amount of pages, doesn't have to be 100 pages. If they ask for 25 pages and you could do it less, then you do it less, but you must answer it in accordance to what the source of salt is requested.
Our time is just about up, and I'm a little bit distressed by that because I didn't get to ask any questions. But what Alice mentioned, you're going to give me 5 more minutes? What Alice mentioned, do that with every small business specialist, not just Patrick, every small business specialist. You know, don't be afraid to ask questions. The government is just government. They're people just like you and I, okay? What's the worst that can happen? They say, no, I can't do that. You still have your birthday. You still have, you know, get to go home that day. Don't be intimidated by the government. Back here, someone I think raised their hand with another question. If you don't, I can ask some questions. No?
I would like to add to what you just said. If you are looking at intend to respond to a source of salt, do not take a canned capability package and send it back in response to that. Read the source of salt, answer the mail calls. If you send a canned capability package back, they're going to toss it aside.
This question could be for all of you. You know, you're doing market research. Some of that is maybe looking at the dynamic small business search. Some of that may be looking at capability statements. This thing, DSBS, dynamic small business search, do you guys really look at that and pay attention to what's on there?
Of course.
Okay, what do you look for? What are some of the things that you're zeroing in on in the information on there?
I look at their past performance, which a lot of you do not put your past performance in dynamic small business. And they have point of contacts. You do not put point of contact. If you have GSA schedule, I look to see if you have GSA schedule. You do not put your GSA schedule in dynamic small business. And also understand, if you are a small business and you put it in SAMS, it does not trickle down into dynamic small business. So you need to make sure it trickles down, because what a lot of times SAM is so difficult, we go directly to dynamic small business, and if you're not in dynamic small business, you may miss the boat.
Once you update SAM, it's not like CCR. You have to go into the dynamic small business to update. Susan?
I'm assuming I should know the answer to this question, but since neither one of us know, we've been around a long time. What is a dynamic small business?
You can't be my client.
Whoa.
You just can't be my.
I'll send you the link.
Maybe I haven't, maybe I.
You know what it is. When you register in SAM, the dynamic small business search is that SBA portion of your SAM registration, where it has your website. Yeah, because I know we went through this. Yeah, but you know what it is. It's called the DSBS, is the acronym for Dynamic Small Business Search. When you register in SAM, the end of that registration, it gives you an SBA icon, and next to it says register or update your SBA profile. That's your SBA profile. And in CCR, when you update a CCR, it would update the Dynamic Small Business Search. But SAM, your SAM can be active, and your Dynamic Small Business Search can be expired. And I'm seeing a lot of that. So when I work with a client, existing or new, I check both.
And buyers want the easiest method, and the easiest method is the dynamic small business. So make sure your information is in dynamic small business.
Louis, I hear some companies, the requirement suggests that I should have a security clearance. You know, what's that all about? How do I go about maybe getting a personal? What's a facilities clearance also? Can you address those two?
Sure. In our facility, most of our contracts require some sort of security clearance. Typically secret and all the way to top secret to SCI security clearances. That is a little bit complicated because it's kind of like who comes first, the chicken or the egg. Typically, what I recommend to the small business community is to, if they don't have a security clearance, is to team up with somebody first as a subcontractor, or just team up and doing the work, and with someone that has already been cleared. And that way, that company can sponsor you, and you can obtain a security clearance that way. A facility clearance, on the other hand, typically is something that we also require in case that you may have a storage of classified information at your facility. That is a little bit more complicated. It takes, for what I understand, it can take all the way up to 1 year sometimes to get a facility clearance. So those two types of clearances are some of the requirements that we have. And again, the easiest way for all of you to obtain that is going through a contractor that has already been cleared, because like I said, it's like a chicken on the egg. Who comes first? You cannot apply for security clearance if you don't have a contract. But we cannot give you a contract if you don't have a security clearance. Follow me? So most of our contracts, we will require you to have a security clearance on day one. So a lot of times what I have done to help small businesses, and I've been working with my security people, is what we're doing is we are requesting that at least key personnel have the security clearance on day one. Then the other workers, they might have a secret clearance, and then we can process the top secret clearance through my facility, you know. And we help you. If there is a contractor up there, if one of you guys have something that is gonna knock my socks off, please come see me. And if you don't have a security clearance, I guarantee you that I'll work a miracle. But you have to knock my socks off.
That's all we have time for. I'd like to thank the panel. Thank you,
That's not fair.
and we'll bring up the next panel.